Hey everybody, welcome to Taiwan Talk. I'm Alex Lewis. This week I spoke with Will Fang and Calvin Chan, the co-founders of the Retail Space Department, located in Taipei's Huashan 1914 Creative Park. Department is not a traditional retail store. They're utilizing the space they have at Huashan to showcase clothing, but also to hold special events with collaborators. They've created a space that is adaptable, able to facilitate their creative ideas while growing and changing along with their tastes and interests. So let's get to the interview. We start with Will telling us how Department came to be.
I think sort of the inception of the department was years and years in the making for me and Calvin. We started out just talking about, hey, let's build a sneaker shop, right? Because we love sneakers and we're at an age or a stage in our life where we could do that. But at the same time, we're also at an age and stage in our life where that's probably not the most responsible thing to do. So we expanded on it and said, how can we really add value to the industry while also representing who we are and filling voids that we think are out there right now in retail, not just in Taiwan, but I think in the entire world. So department came about in Taipei. Calvin lives here because we really feel like Taiwan and Taipei is a gateway, right, to Asia. China's sort of the new frontier for a lot of Western brands. Hong Kong's already oversaturated. So Taipei has really created more of this like landing zone for some of these brands and given us an opportunity to build an entryway, right, for some of these brands to launch safely while testing the Asian market. So that's how location came about. I think Huashan was always first on our list just because how beautiful the actual space is, the greenery, how open it is. It's also off the beaten path, which is exactly what we want it to be, versus your traditional Xinyi or Dongchu like retail spaces. I don't think anywhere else in Taipei you can get 5,000 total square feet with our courtyard and cafe and the store with literally grass, backyard essentially, as well as the kind of traffic that you get here. So it was a great fusion of all the things that we really loved from our own lives. Like Calvin's really outdoorsy. We're both from the States, and that's something that you can't get in a lot of big cities. Right? So Huashan was our number one priority, and once we were able to secure Huashan, it just really came about designing the space and how to make it represent the brands first and foremost, and also a little bit of ourselves.
Walk me through how you went about designing the store.
Our design team is technically in-house, but it's actually a Japanese-American couple who I've actually known for quite a long time from my previous jobs, and they wanted us to represent us by welcoming our customers almost into our home. Just like in your house, for example, if we were to visit, everything you've purchased on your travels or things that you're interested in, the fashion that you're into, you really have passion for it, right? Because you've made the effort to buy it and bring it home. That's what we wanted all the brands to feel like. So we wanted a way to showcase that home feel as well as how we've curated the brands without being over-designed. So we developed this I guess not technology method, so that we could almost blueprint or outline the house or the home, the ideas, and also outline various fixtures or things that remind you of a house conceptually. So really you're walking in to our home. Right? And the idea behind that is you can kind of create your own image of what this house might be like if it were yours. And also as we explain to you the brands and the concepts, you form your own stories and things like that. So it's not completely finished yet.
Okay. Could you talk about the experience that you guys have before opening the store department?
Okay, sure. So our backgrounds are very, very different. I think probably the biggest takeaway about our company, we're a new company, right? We've only been around for a year or so, is we come from all industries, different countries, all walks of life, and different ages. So not everyone is the same age or same sort of work experience to sort of start a business together, right? The entrepreneurial culture is very strong here. Personally, my background is originally finance. I spent a lot of time in the private equity industry where, all I did was look at investments, meet companies, cut deals. And then eventually I sort of grew out of that and moved on to the bicycle industry because that is the sport that I love tremendously. And I wanted to find a way to get involved in that. And through some coincidences and just pure luck, I ended up being in Taiwan because of my wife, and Taiwan happens to also be one of the biggest bicycle sort of manufacturing or related countries in the world. It's really the hub of bicycles. I think Will, his background, Apple retail, Ralph Lauren. We have people from Tiffany & Co., GQ, also from Nike, and I think what that all means is when it all comes together, it really represents our culture. It really represents our lifestyle. And ultimately, when you look around our store and you look at the brands that we carry, all of that shines through, right? Will was talking about our store it's supposed to be inviting. It's supposed to give you an abstract feeling of what a home should be like. Frankly, I think it's really an abstract representation of the homes of our entire team as if we moved in together, right? So when you think about in college, you go to your friend's apartment, they have roommates, and you don't know all of them, but it's really interesting to meet people and check out what they have. And really, that's the feeling we want to evoke, right? We want people to come in and be like, oh, they're very curious, they want to learn more, and that's, our experience that ties into our store and sort of our retail concept.
So the store is basically influenced by everybody's interests, and you kind of just all coalesced into this one store. Could you talk about how you procured investment from Taiwan's Huashan Group?
I think this is a very interesting story, and I will try to explain as much as I can without getting in trouble. As you know, Taiwan has a lot of big manufacturing businesses that have been around for decades. They all started in a time when Taiwan was one of the strongest manufacturing countries in Asia. And as these companies have grown and as their clients have grown, a lot of them started trying to understand what the future holds for manufacturing and what the future holds for them. And you've seen this probably over the last 1 or 2 decades, right? Taiwanese manufacturers want to become brands. They want to break out of this very traditional mindset of being a OEM or an ODM, so to speak. And by and large, it has not been very successful, right? It's probably difficult to, think of internationally recognized Taiwan consumer brands. I mean, I'm from bicycle industry, so I can think of Giant, right? That's a global brand, but how many Giants are there in Taiwan versus manufacturers? I went to university with the CEO of Huashan. That's when we met, when we were like 18, I guess. And we had always kept in touch. She was very supportive of us when we approached her with an idea of creating a new retail concept here in Taiwan. And so she agreed to give us some investment. I think the rationale, and this is me thinking out loud a little bit, but as the world's largest manufacturer of sneakers, as China's second largest sportswear retailer, my sense is it's probably valuable to have something that represents the tip of the pyramid or the tip of the iceberg when it comes to brands, new brands or new opportunities. Like what's the most exciting, products that people are currently, using or wanting to buy, and then thinking about how that can translate into a very, very large manufacturing or retail business. So I think that's probably how it all came about. A little bit of luck and just fortuitous timing.
So that's basically how DPT is bridging the gap between the fashion industry and the manufacturing. Okay. So what sets DPT apart from other retail stores in Taiwan, other than your links to manufacturing?
I think we did a lot of research when building department and trying to conceptualize, what we would do. And the biggest difference for us is this space can really be used by each brand as they see fit. I think we're not so married to the idea of this is our store and this is how we want it. We've had multiple brands already since we've opened come in and do takeovers. We have plans to do even more in the future. A takeover can be everything from use our entire store, right, and make it your brand for a week, for the day, for the weekend. It can be take over half the store. It can be use our courtyard. It can be use our cafe. It can be throw a concert in the building next door. We have literally endless options at this store, and I think if you look around in Taipei or maybe even anywhere in the world, like, who is willing to use their retail space for that purpose? That's why we built Department, and I think that's something very special that as we develop our relationships, people are really starting to realize it. We're fortunate to have a lot of really good partners around the world, and slowly they want to start bridging that gap between either Europe or US and Asia. And I think for them the best way to do it isn't to enter into another store and be another brand on a rack. It's literally to have their own retail feel for a lot of brands that don't even have their own retail stores in their home countries. Our store sometimes is the very first retail location that they will ever have, and that's our goal, right? Is to make sure that we do that just like any brand would do it on their own.
It's more of an interactive experience, right? You want people to come in and be introduced to these brands, but also have the brands be able to conceptualize the store to their own vision, I guess.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we want to do is also educate. We do have brands that are exclusive to Department for Taiwan, or brands that are in Asia for the first time, and their first time isn't in Hong Kong or Shanghai. It's actually in Taiwan. So that idea, again, just relates back to our original concept of showing people what it is, part of our lives or our backgrounds, and people that we've met along the way, and really telling their stories. We love storytelling. That's one of the biggest themes to Department, and what better way to do that than in our store?
So what need does DPT meet?
We talk a lot about online and how you can really buy anything you want, anytime you want, and get it same day in a lot of cases. So brick and mortar in general, so not specifically Department, but brick and mortar fashion has really fallen off in the last decade, right? And you see it everywhere. Even the biggest brands in the world, right, are forced to close down their flagships and rethink their future. Well, I think some of our friends and family thought we were crazy when last year we opened this store in this kind of retail environment. But that's not what Department is for. If we wanted to sell 1 million units, yes, we'd be crazy to open right now in this environment. But what need that Department fills is you can't touch and feel a brand online. So if you're already familiar with it, if you already know exactly the materials and the sizing and what you're trying to get, then you don't need Department. But if you've maybe heard of this brand or you've seen it on social media, but you want to get a real feel for it, you want to see it in real life, you want to pair it with another brand that maybe you are familiar with, that's what we're here for. We're here to teach you. We're here to let you literally try it on. We're here to let you see it in the environment that we feel it was meant to be in versus two-dimensional on a screen, right, on your phone, on your computer. We're also very much into lifestyling our product, so it's not just about Nike being worn completely together with Nike. It's not about these fashion brands being worn down the runway like they're showcased online. It's about mixing and matching, right? Sometimes you wear certain brands for different activities, like for work. You switch it up on the weekends, but you can also intermix those things. That's very apparent and visible inside our store, again, versus what you experience online.
So what are some of the influences when it comes to brand curation?
Given that our store is very much about a lifestyle concept, we're really not married to any product category or any brands. What we're married to is how we want to enjoy our free time, enjoy products, enjoy consuming media, enjoy food and beverage. And we're going to continue to evolve based on us evolving, right? We aren't static consumers ourselves, and we believe no one is. So when it comes to what inspires us, I think it's important that we know what we are, we know what sort of big buckets or silos that we enjoy, we like, and then it's sort of this continuous search for the next great idea, the next coolest product, or the next interesting drink to put in our cafe. So what are these buckets? Sports, music, art, entertainment, movies, design, books. All of these things appeal to us, fundamentally. Is there a specific brand or a specific product? I think that just depends on when that question is asked. I can say that from before we opened the store to now, and it's only been 6 months, things have already changed. We've tweaked our cafe menu, we've removed some product from the store, we've added new brands. Like, at the end of the day, the store department is almost an organism, right? Anytime you come in is a snapshot of what we like at that moment in time. And so what we hope is that every time you come in, you see something new, you see something that we just discovered, you see something that we just found in another country and we want to share with this market. And so that's what we are about, and that's what inspires us.
Basically tastemakers.
I think Will is a tastemaker. I'm not a tastemaker.
I think, to Calvin's point, it is very much about what we're passionate about, what we believe in, not just what's hyped at the moment, not just what might be cool on Instagram for this season. A lot of the brands we carry have been around a long time, right? Most of the brands we carry, we are close with the founders or the designers, and that really allows us to get a deeper understanding of who they are as people, who they are as brands, what direction they're planning to go. I don't think every retailer can say that. And I think what we bring to the market specifically is, not everyone can travel the way buyers travel or the way we are able to for this business. So we have a lot more insight than a lot of the local consumers here. So yes, you can see things on social media these days, which has really increased awareness and scope, but it's different when you're actually at a show. When you're talking to a designer backstage, when you're seeing the design process, feeling these materials that might have never been on the market before, how vibrant the colors are. That's how we make our decisions, really trying to service our customers and the community.
Do you plan on expanding to other cities or countries in Taiwan or elsewhere?
I think we want to maintain an open mind about expansion. Clearly, given where retail is on a macro level, expanding in retail isn't necessarily the most prudent thing a retailer actually should be doing. I think we're very focused on quality versus quantity. To be honest with you, managing department and our coffee department, where we have over 30 brands, it's almost like opening 30 stores, right? The process is multiplied by 30. Because you have to order, you go visit the brands, you have to liaise with them, they ship you product, you do it 30 times. Whereas when you open a single branded store, you do it once. So in some sense, there's a huge amount of manpower that goes into running department that, to be honest with you, I don't think consumers really see. There's a huge amount of resources and commitment we have to provide in order to have events where Steve Aoki visits. Again, the consumer sees the end product. They don't see the amount of effort that goes in. I think we're not ready to dilute that experience by either aggressively expanding or, losing control of what this is. And that really requires a lot of Will's time, a lot of my time. And so I think until we're ready, until we feel like things are more on cruise control or on autopilot, where we can spend time on a new location, on a new cafe, we want to make sure we're doing what we have right.
Is that the hardest part of this process has been so far, just the work that you have to do to get 30 brands in a store and maintaining that?
Yeah, I think anytime you want to try and be the best in anything is super difficult. And I think when we first set off to start this company, it was never to compromise. It was never to create anything other than one of the leading retail locations in Taiwan. And to think that was just a year and a bit ago, until this point where I think we might not be the best, but I think we're getting close to being right up there. Given a function of more time, we will continue to climb up. You need to go all in, right? It can be the smallest detail, from how the logos look on your coffee cups to really important things such as how much money you spend on any given brand, or how much money you spend on renovations or design. It's sort of this, I think, spirit that our team has, which is we're going to go all in. We're going to do everything to the best of our ability, because we believe that Taiwan as a retail market should have a retail location that all tourists and visitors must visit, right? We come from different countries. We've traveled all over the world. And when we come to Taipei, we hadn't seen that, right? We know we have to go to the night market. Like, why is there no equivalent for retail here? We've seen it in other countries. So we just decided, right, this is our backyard. We want to do something for this place. And so that has been the biggest challenge.
Which cities do you like to travel to for retail?
I'm from New York, so New York is definitely where I gathered a lot of inspiration. Calvin and I took a trip specifically to New York just for inspiration. So, yeah, I have to go with my, I guess, home now, New York.
Where in New York? Is it like Brooklyn or more Manhattan?
More Manhattan. I'm a little less hipster than I probably should be for what I'm doing. But, yeah, I mean, just working at Ralph Lauren for so many years in essentially the heart of Manhattan, that's what I'm most comfortable with. I think it's also the most diverse. Brooklyn's cool and great, and there's actually a lot of great retailers in Brooklyn. But for me, again, Manhattan offers the luxury, the street, right, the commercial, the starving artists and musicians that haven't made it out to Brooklyn yet, right? So to me, it's a much sort of bigger, essentially melting pot, which is exactly what New York is, than some of the really more niche boroughs or retailers or even cities.
How about you, Calvin?
I personally really enjoy going to Tokyo in Japan. I think for everything that Will and I are aspiring to do, there are lots of Japanese retailers who have been doing it for years and years and even decades. And it's really quite amazing that they had spent so much time developing retail, developing concept retail, working with brands, trying to tell their stories. And I think a lot of it was a function of almost language, right? Most Japanese consumers just can't even read the English, so someone needed to sort of be that conduit. That's what Will and I are trying to do out here. And so to go to a place where people have been doing it for so long, you can see all the hard work, right? You know that, right, we're in year 1, they're in like year 20. And that's very inspiring. It's very inspiring, yeah.
You can learn a lot from them, right? What's the biggest thing that you've learned going to Tokyo and going to all these different stores?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've learned, especially since now that we've spent some time in industry, we've actually started to meet some of these people on a professional and a personal basis, is the amount of patience you need. This is not, finance or accounting or a job where it's all about getting things done as quickly as possible. This is an industry where creativity, patience, it all comes together. You can't rush making a good product. And this is an industry where people are willing to wait. And that applies not only to products, but to the relationships. So I think the biggest thing I learned is the patience, the persistence of Japanese retailers who built these relationships, maintained them, cultivated them, and grew them over years and years. And what we see now, again, right, we don't see the hard work. But once you sort of pull back the curtain and you take a look, you're just like, wow, we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, it took like years of dedication to get to that point for them.
Absolutely.
And last question, Will, when are you going to move to Taiwan?
I pretty much already live here. If you ask my wife, who's still living in Hong Kong, I spend 75% of my time here. I think when we started the company, Taiwan was definitely a location we wanted retail to be in. But I think when you look at doing business across Asia, Hong Kong is probably still king, right? You have access to China. Of course, you have access to here. But then you look at Southeast Asia, there's a lot of brand partnerships that develop in Hong Kong, but then expand out here to Taiwan. So Hong Kong is still very important to us strategically because we're focusing, as Calvin mentioned, 100% of our effort on department and this location. It is definitely where I'm spending most of my time. But if we're looking at future, I think Hong Kong, not to say that that's where retail will be, but where a lot of our investments in the relationships, I think, will come out of Hong Kong as well.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I went back to the department a few weeks after the interview, and just like they said, the experience I had was different from the first. The products on display had changed, and the layout was different. I also want to say that their cookie at the cafe behind the store is out of this world. I highly recommend it. If you're in the area, check out Department, or DPT, to see their vision for how brick-and-mortar retail is evolving. I'd like to thank Will Fang and Calvin Chan for their interview, and a special thanks to Elisa Chu for making the connection. Thanks for listening to ICRT's Taiwan Talk. I'm Alex Lewis.